This episode of Going Forward is brought to you by Optimizer, an award-winning PPC management tool used by advertisers worldwide. Save time and boost the performance of your PPC campaigns on Facebook, Amazon, and Google or Microsoft. Get a 14-day free trial at optimizer.com/go/VIP.
Change is hard for anybody. It is hard to rewire your brain. It is hard to do something a different way. I talk a lot in EOS about hitting the ceiling. You just can't quite move forward. And sometimes you feel that way as a whole firm. Sometimes it may just be you that's stuck. If you are not solving issues, if you are not solving problems at the root, not solving the symptom, you're not going to get anywhere, because what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
If you don't bring any more cases in 18 months, there is no firm.
Welcome to Going Forward, where inspiring conversations with leaders and entrepreneurs shape tomorrow. Dive into the depths of their journeys, the hurdles they've overcome, and the insights they bring to the future. Let's get moving right here, right now on Going Forward.
What's going on, Going Forward Nation? This is Eric Elliott. I am your host of Going Forward, and I'm excited. I'm holding it back. Brooke, I'm holding it back. But right before we actually started, we were talking about like the industry, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one today. So Going Forward Nation, I have Brooke Lively on the line with me today. And I want to tell you a little bit about Brooke. She is a business owner. She's an entrepreneur, has two companies. One, she is a fractional CFO. And also she has another company where she works with law firm owners to help them scale and systemize their business according to EOS, and helping with implementation as well. Very knowledgeable, very recognized in the legal industry as well. Everyone give a round of applause for our guest, Miss Brooke Lively. Brooke, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on, Eric. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Right before you and I, got into recording today, we were talking just a little bit about the industry. A lot of folks we know, a lot of the same folks. And today I want to, give these people some value and kind of let them know like what's going on in the kind of the state of law firms right now. Because people are seeing a lot of private equity come in. People wonder, what does that mean for, our clients? The clients are wondering, what does it mean for them? We may talk like, how do you systemize this? How do you make this better for them? And all the different laws that are sweeping across the country, and also the competitiveness of these law firms. We talked about the customer acquisition costs on how it can rise. You find a one-trick pony that's a low CAC right now, and everyone runs to it, and then it goes up. So I want to thank you for being on the podcast. Tell the audience a little bit about you, Brooke.
Oh gosh, a little bit about me. I have some kind of weird obsession with attorneys, and I'm in therapy. Don't worry, we're still working on it. Especially 6'2" left-handed lawyers that wear glasses. So if you know any single ones, send them my way.
I got you.
Anyway, you got me? Awesome. So I love making law firms more profitable, whether it's through my CFO company or by helping law firms implement EOS. And I've seen a shift in the industry from lawyers who used to be entrepreneurial, and there were some of those, to entrepreneurs who have a law license. And those people are so much fun to work with because they see so much more than just the practice of law. They see what they can accomplish for themselves, for their firm, for their employees, and for their clients, because they know that the bigger they get, the more people they can serve, and they can do it their way. Because, Eric, we all know those firms that aren't serving clients very well.
Yeah.
I was at a conference in Vegas, and there was a managing partner from a large PI firm in Texas. I will withhold the name. And he was telling us how many cases each attorney ran.
There's no way.
Thousands. And they made the decision at intake. The people doing intake made a decision about whether it was going to be litigated or not. Not an
Really?
attorney.
Oh,
Yeah. People answering the phone. You know, the one answering the 1-800 got injured line.
right.
And I can't believe this guy still has his license.
Oh,
And this is a giant firm. And I mean, he's not doing his clients any great service. And there's so many better PI firms out there that really care about their clients and will give them such better service
yeah.
and individualized everything.
Mhm.
And I want to see those guys really succeed.
Yeah.
But it does take treating your firm like a business, not a practice.
You know, I that part of it kind of scares me. I remember, like you, I won't call the names of some of the firms. I remember there was a firm where, they wanted a ton of cases per month, and like just like what you said, they didn't have a whole lot of law firms to be able to do it. And at some point, there's no way you can actually get those clients what they deserve, living up to your ads, get those clients what they deserve if you are just a mill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think,
Yeah.
a lot of law firm owners, and this is my question to you, a lot of law firm owners, they say they want growth, right? But they really want like some kind of relief. They want to know like it's good, they got cases coming in, piling up. You know, what is that like? What is that pressure like inside of a firm that has become the mill where they're just getting in or stacking a bunch of cases or talking about litigation at intake, you know what I mean? What is that like?
That is that gosh, what is it like? I don't want to say it's a Ponzi scheme because
Mhm,
it's not,
mhm.
but it is chasing that perpetual growth without a really good plan
Yeah.
can be incredibly expensive. And Eric, this client acquisition cost continues to rise.
Oh, yeah.
And especially if you're a PI attorney, you're basically buying your inventory, you're buying your cases. Your client acquisition cost, if you know that it costs, $872
Mhm.
for every case that's going to bring you, if your average case value is 5,200,
Mhm.
you're going to have to spend the 870 to get to the 5,200. Is that
Um,
a good value?
yeah.
Well, that depends on your firm. That depends on how well you're running your firm. Um, in
That's a
some
great
firms,
point.
yes, and in some firms, no.
Yeah, especially if you're top heavy, if you're a top heavy firm. You bring up that's a great point, but when does, like you said, everyone wants to grow their law firm, but when does growth become dangerous for a law firm?
When you are not balancing your growth with your cash, because and I know most of the people watching this are personal injury, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just going to speak to the personal injury attorneys. You have to work your cases before you get paid. You're a contingency practice, which means that you've got, let's say, an average of 17 to 19, we'll call it 18 months
Got it.
before you get paid.
Okay.
So you have to pay an attorney for 18 months. You have to pay your paralegals for 18 months. You have to pay 18 months of rent. You have to pay 18 months of phone. You have to pay your intake people for 18 months. You've got to pay your all your computer costs for your software, your internet, all of that for 18 months before you get paid. And if you keep bringing more and more cases in, you're going to have to hire more attorneys, more paralegals. You're going to have to buy more computers. You're going to have to add more seats to your software.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where you can't afford to work your cases.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what happens when you stop working your cases. First, your clients get annoyed. Then you get a bunch of one-star reviews.
Yep.
Then your client acquisition cost goes up even more. And then you start getting bar complaints. And none of this goes well for you.
That's a good point. I think some firms, and it's funny you said that because Brooke, you're advising them from another side of it, and it's almost like the microwave approach, going inside and coming out when you're advising some of these folks, and sometimes when we go in and we talk to them, they talk to us, our marketing agencies, about more cases, more leads, more cases, more leads, and like you're saying, like, let's just pile it on. But at some point, they don't have enough money to even go to trial.
Yeah. What's that balance? What are our cash reserves? How much cash do we have access to at any given time? Can we afford to work these cases? Because we've got to work them.
Yeah.
Whether we're, if we go to trial, if you're not filing on at least 20% of your cases, you're not maximizing the value of your cases. The insurance companies 100% track that. And if you're not filing on 20%, your settlements are going to be lower than Joe Schmo down the street who files on 20% of his cases. That seems to be a break point. So can you afford to file and litigate 20% of your cases? You got to know that. Do you have the staff?
I wonder if the insurance companies, because a lot of the ads are like, "Oh, we beat the insurance companies," but for them, it's a waiting game. They want to wait. They want that customer, frustrated with your firm. Like, do you think like what you said, like they have to file on 20% of their cases? Do you think the insurance companies are really like, I know that firm, they won't litigate, or that firm's not serious, they don't have a reputation? When you advise clients, do you tell them also, like, you need to make sure that your firm is set up, you have access to cash, because the insurance company knows who's going to litigate and who doesn't?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
You have to be able to follow through on that threat. Because what it does is it increases your average case value from 5,200 to 5,700 or 6,000. It raises the value of all the other cases, because the insurance company sits there and looks at you and says, "Oh, well, dude, they file and they're going to haul us to court over this case, and it's going to cost us a whole lot more to litigate it than it would just to settle it. So just pay them off. Get them out of our hair."
Yeah.
And they're going to get paid off at a higher rate than another firm who they're like, "Oh yeah, they're not going to take us to court. They're not going to do anything."
Yeah.
Give them $3,000.
The firms that I see that operate the best are the ones who have great systems inside, and I'm sure you've seen tons, and I've seen a lot of them as well. What are some of the common signs to you that a firm is outgrown, that has outgrown the way it's currently being managed?
Oh, um, I think there are a few things. I think one is when everything breaks, when you're constantly going back and fixing things. That's one.
Hmm.
When only a couple of people know how to do things, like that institutional knowledge is in people's heads.
Yeah.
And when you feel stuck, I talk a lot in EOS about hitting the ceiling, and that's that feeling of like you just can't quite you just can't quite move forward. And
Yeah.
sometimes you feel that way as a whole firm. Sometimes it may just be the intake department that's stuck. Sometimes it may just be you that's stuck as an individual.
I've
But
seen that.
yeah, it's like when you hit a plateau when you're on a diet,
Hmm.
and you're like, why can I not, like, I'm stuck. And that's a sign.
What is I totally agree with you. And I think you hit the nail on the head. What is that like that difference between that law firm owner, who's busy, right?
Hmm.
And and a law firm owner that you see who's really building actual value in their firm. Um, and I'll tell you, while you marinate on that question, I'll tell you a story about there was a firm that I remember we worked with, and this firm used to be a juggernaut.
Hmm.
And and then after a while, they just like went away. People are like, well, what happened to that firm? The marketing and everything else is not just a typical marketing story, but then the leadership in the firm was just gone. It was
Huh.
just I mean, just absolutely gone. But then when they tried to get back to their old roots, it would cost them too much money to get back to where they were, you know?
Hmm.
And from what I saw, it was almost like the owner was absent in the firm,
Hmm.
and they were only concerned with leads, cases, signups, leads, cases, signups. And it's almost like they had lost vision of
They
what.
lost their soul.
Yeah, so and that's where I had that question, like what's the difference between just a law firm owner who's a busy law firm owner, and then who's actually a one who's building an enterprise valued firm? Tell me about the difference you've seen in those 2.
So in EOS, we talk about the 6 key components. And the 6 key components are vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction.
Mhm.
So what you were talking about is vision. If you don't have a vision, if you as a firm don't know where you're going, and if everybody doesn't share that vision, you're going to lose your way,
Yeah.
because people are going to be making decisions and based on different places they want to go. And I think about, we talk about getting everybody in the boat rowing together towards the
Mhm.
same destination, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have the same vision, those Norse, like, longboats with like the 50 paddles out of each side.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have a vision of one of those out in the middle of the ocean, paddles everywhere, like spinning in a circle. If you don't have a vision,
Yeah.
that's what's going on in your law firm. You're
Wow.
just spinning in circles. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't have the right people in the right seats. And that's different for every single firm. EOS will help you identify what it is in your firm. Data is about making decisions based on facts and figures and numbers instead of gut instinct. Because,
Yes.
Eric, how many times have you made a decision and then you go home and you're having dinner with your family and you're like, oh, maybe I should have done the other way. And then you wake up at 2 a.m. and you make the decision again.
Mhm.
And then, you're at the office the next day and you're talking to a potential client and you're like, oh,
Get out of my head, Brooke. Get out of my head.
I know, right?
Get out of my head.
So if you make a decision using data, you make it once and you're confident in the decision you made.
Yeah.
Issues.
Wow.
If you are not solving issues, if you are not solving problems at the root, not solving the symptom, but solving the actual cause of the problem when it comes up, you're not going to get anywhere, because what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we've got to learn to solve those problems. And EOS teaches you how to solve those problems at the root so that it doesn't show up again the next week with a different name on it.
So we'll take a break and we will be right back. Okay.
Hold tight, listeners. We're taking a brief pause. Going forward, we'll be back shortly with more insightful conversations.
If your company feels like chaos and finding anything is like solving a mystery, get Trainual, the app that turns all your scattered company knowledge into an organized playbook, where every employee question has an answer, just a simple search away. Where all of your processes and policies are documented, roles and responsibilities are defined, and delegating anything is as easy as drag and drop. Trainual, it's how you get your operations under control and how you deliver the ultimate onboarding and training experience.
Running your law firm is a serious business. When you actually got out of law school, they didn't teach you how to market your business, or they didn't teach you exactly the business of running a law firm. And that's what we do. We want to be able to come in and work with you and your firm so that, one, you can start marketing your firm correctly, coach you on how to get to the next level and where you want to get your law firm. And most importantly, we don't want you to be one of those law firms who are a laughing stock of the community. Don't hire a marketing agency that's going to make you look like a buffoon online or social media and try and make you to be something that you are not. It's time for you to start running your firm the right way. Go to VIPmarketing.com.
Welcome back to Going Forward. We hope you're recharged because we've got an exciting second half waiting for you. Get ready to dive deeper and be inspired. Let's keep the momentum going.
I want to, in our interview today, I want to talk about, EOS and how important it is and how some of the firms that you helped implement it and how they've done better. But then there's also some people that you run into who are very stubborn. I've done it this way for a long time, or, or if they're a second generation lawyer, third generation lawyer. Have you seen more resistance to people who are second and third generation lawyers, or has there never been a difference, when it comes to implementing a new system or something like an EOS?
Well, all right, let me tell you about the last two pillars and then I'll address that.
Okay.
So the fifth component is process. And process is getting something done the best way the first time, every time. And that's what allows you to scale.
Got it.
That's what allows you. I mean, frankly, it's what makes the office a better place, because you're not yelling at people all the time about the fact that they did it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so stinking annoying.
Yep.
And then the last one is traction. And traction is all about execution. It's taking that vision, bringing it down to the ground and actually executing on it and getting shit done.
Yeah.
Completing
Getting the right shit done,
Getting the right shit done.
Getting the right
Absolutely.
shit done. Yeah.
So your question about the second and third generation lawyers, I think the second and third generation lawyers are actually more open than they're at. I'm going to put this out there, just than they're generally their fathers.
Got it.
It's the people who have been practicing for 30 or 40 years that are more resistant. The children that come in tend to see, okay, you've been doing it this way for 30 or 40 years. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
There just has to be. Because I've watched you struggle my whole life. Surely we can make this easier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Surely there's technology. Surely there's a framework. Surely there is something that can help us do it faster, better, or easier. And that's really what EOS is. It's just a framework or a structure on which to build your firm that allows you to build the firm you want.
I never thought about that until you put it that way, where like the second generation, third generations, they're like, you know what, dad, granddad, I remember you weren't at home. I remember
Yeah.
you weren't at home. I remember how stressed out you were. I want to be a lawyer, but I don't want to be that stressed out.
You want
So
to be that lawyer.
yeah, so I'm gonna find different ways to be able to do it, Um, you know, Brooke, you talk about, helping law firms run like real businesses, right? And
Mhm.
implementing systems like EOS. And, why is this shift so hard for lawyers who are already practicing law? You know, do they
I,
get in that rut? They're like, I don't want to change. Why is that system so
oh, this is working.
hard?
Yeah. Don't upset the apple cart.
Right.
And I think it's hard. Change is hard for anybody. Change is just hard.
Hmm.
It is hard to rewire your brain. It is hard to do something a different way. And our brains are wired to avoid risk. And risk is any kind of change.
Yeah.
The safe is what's known. And so your brain, your nervous system, everything in our world is set up to keep us safe and in the known.
Hmm.
And so when you come forward and say, I want to leave the known, I want to go out and do something different. This goes back to being
Yeah.
chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Don't leave the cave. Do not leave the fire.
Got it.
You're safe here.
Wow.
Okay, I may be safe here, but I'm going to starve to death if I don't go outside and find some food.
Oh,
That's risky.
that is risky. A lot of times, before I got into marketing, I've been in marketing for over 20 years, and marketing the law firms over a decade, for law firms over a decade. And one of the old sayings that we used to have in restaurants used to be sales cures all,
Oh,
and
that's total bullshit.
right. And then like in law firms, they figure, the leads cure all. And you and I, we were talking about this earlier. We said, you can keep piling those leads on, but you probably can't serve them, or you're giving them shitty service. So tell
Or if
me,
you can't,
what you think that leads cure all. Let's talk about that.
leads do not cure all. All right. So Walmart used to sell, I can't remember which one it is, so we're going to call it Pampers.
Got
diapers. And I am just going to throw a whole bunch of names out there, and they're all going to be wrong, and don't hold me to any of these. Just go with the concept here, people.
Mm-hmm.
So Walmart, which I know is right, Walmart was selling Pampers, and they went to Johnson & Johnson, the maker of Pampers. So now if you're fact checking, I'm probably totally wrong. Again,
This is all examples, people. This is all an example.
These are all examples.
Yep.
So they go to Johnson & Johnson, who theoretically was the maker of Pampers. And they said, we can't afford to carry Pampers. We have this low cost guarantee thing, and we can't be the lowest cost, because by the time we are the low cost, and we do this and that and the other thing, we are actually losing money.
Yeah.
On every box of Pampers we sell. And Pampers is like, oh shit. Like we might lose Walmart.
Yeah.
What happens if we lose Walmart?
Ton of distribution.
Right. And Pampers can't say, "Ooh, just sell more."
Yeah.
Because Walmart's saying we lose 7 cents per box or 3 cents per box, which doesn't sound like a whole lot until you think about how many boxes Walmart sold.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnson & Johnson's pretty damn motivated to make sure that Pampers stay in Walmart. They're like, we got to figure out how to do this in such a way. And Pampers wasn't really making any money on selling them to Walmart because they wanted them in Walmart. They had to be in Walmart. And so what they ultimately ended up doing was making money off of the supply chain. So Pampers get delivered to Walmart every single day. They don't get delivered once a week. Every day, if Walmart sells 100 boxes of diapers on Tuesday, they get 100 boxes of diapers delivered on Wednesday. Those diapers aren't considered delivered until they hit the store on Wednesday. They've been sitting in the distribution center, in the Walmart distribution center, for 3 weeks. Walmart didn't own them when they were sitting in their distribution center.
Wow.
They only bought them when they hit the actual retail store. Most people at Walmart pay by debit card or in cash. They have 30 days to pay for those Pampers from the time they hit the store. Most Pampers are sold within, like, I don't know, it was like 26 or 30 hours of hitting the store. So basically, Walmart sat on that money for 28 and a half days. They made the money off of interest.
Wow. How smart.
Isn't that fascinating?
How smart.
But the thing is that selling more Pampers until they fixed the supply chain, selling more Pampers was not going to cure the problem. Selling more Pampers was going to lose Walmart more money.
Yeah. So sales doesn't cure all.
Sales does not cure all. If a
Dang.
case costs you $6,000, if your case acquisition cost is $6,000 and your case value is $9,000, you are losing money on that case, because of the $9,000 that you brought in, 6 of it went to marketing, and that other 3,000, I promise you, you were not able to work that
Wow.
case for $3,000.
Wow. Or give it good service. There's no way. And if
I'm not even worried about the service.
yeah, if you're doing it, I mean, you're losing money. Even if you're giving a decent service, you are actually losing money.
You paid the attorneys, the paralegals, you paid for your software out of your pocket. You can't run on that kind of margin.
No, you can't. It almost sounds like the healthy way. There's tons of different firms that some may do good volume and they may have a great system to get them out, get these cases settled within 18 months and have a higher margin on them. Some firms do that, but it sounds like it's not always just getting a bunch of cases. It's making sure you do the work so that the case value is higher for you.
Yeah, so a healthy PI firm should be taking at least 40, if not 50% to the bottom line. So what that means is, generally spending, and I hate doing this. I hate saying this. I really don't like firms to spend more than 10% on marketing, and they always do, and they like to spend up to 20%, and it just makes me twitch, but fine. So let's say they spend 15% of revenue on marketing, and then 15% of revenue on overhead costs.
Okay.
So that's 30%.
Okay.
And then let's say they're spending another 30% on their people. That's 60%.
60%.
You're done, you're out. So if you're spending more than 15% on your marketing, if you're spending, what was 6 divided by 8, 75% on marketing, which was that example that I gave you, you got a problem.
Yeah. You ever see it you ever see it where the egos get into it? Because some lawyers love to see themselves.
Attorneys with
Yeah.
egos?
Yeah.
I've never seen an attorney with an ego. Are you kidding me?
But when you're consulting them, how many times have you seen it where you have to tell them you need to dial it back? Because if part of the EOS is using data, some of them use no data, and their gut feeling, they don't feed their gut. Their gut is, I see my competitor more than I see myself. And like you and I talked about, sometimes it's like the more the lawyers are spending money in the market, the higher the media cost is going to be. The higher the media
cannot outspend John Morgan.
No, you can't, and you won't. There's no sense in trying.
Yeah, don't try.
Don't try.
I promise you, put it back in your pants. His is bigger.
All right. I like that one. So, I mean, do you have to tell them sometimes to dial it back, though? Have you ever had that conversation at the table?
Oh, God, yeah.
Say, look, dial this back. You're spending way too much.
I sat down with a client and I analyzed his marketing spend. And I went deeper and in a different way than he had looked at it. And sorry, Eric, I'm going to throw marketing people under the bus right now.
Or bring it. I want to give him some value.
His marketing company said, look how many leads we're sending you from this one particular lead source.
Got it.
I said, okay. Look at how many calls it took to get them scheduled for an initial consultation.
Got it.
Look at the no-show rate on the initial consultation. Look at how hard it was to get them scheduled for their second initial consultation. And then look at the conversion rate.
Okay.
And when I showed him all of that, I said, if we got rid of that marketing source, I could fire an entire intake employee. I fired one of his receptionists because all she was doing was scheduling these people. And and he had gotten one client for a really low value. So you've got to really look at the data all the way through. You can't just say, oh yeah, you're sending me 50 leads a month.
Yeah.
Well, they're 50 crap leads. They're 50 leads that are putting pressure on my team that are totally worthless.
Yeah.
And are doing nothing but costing me money. I don't want those. It is 50 people calling me every month asking me if I do divorces. And I'm a PI firm.
True. That is true. There will be, and I agree with you, there will be some marketing firms. Let me play devil's advocate some here, because I do agree with you 1,000%. It can't be, look at what I sent you, and I think truly, when you're doing marketing for a law firm, you have to be willing to go in and they have to be willing to let you in so that you can work together for it. There may be times, and like I said, I've seen some firms that were checked out and checked in all at the same time, right? Different people of the firm are checked in and different people of the firm are checked out. And whenever they would get leads, they don't answer the phone or they don't call back if you have to call people back, because the truth is, it's not like how it was, 15 years ago. Somebody called you and says, I'm hurt. I need a lawyer. You got me? Good. You're hired. It's different now because people are shopping for lawyers now, bro.
Yeah.
They're shopping for it. But then the lawyers have themselves to blame for it. because they went on television saying, I got this person this much. So now everyone's shopping for a settlement amount or shopping for this idea of, well, so-and-so's billboard says he got so-and-so $1 million because they got T-boned in an accident. But the truth is, like, and I'll say it like my friend Ken Harrell from Joy Law Firm says it, if someone gets that much money, something catastrophic had to have happened.
Yeah.
In
That
their
was not
you
just
know what I mean?
they didn't just get rear-ended and have a little bit of neck pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's frustrating for you as a marketing firm to send the leads and have them not well worked, because you're like, I'm sending you leads. And they're like, yep, they're not good leads. And you're like,
Oh, Glenn
is it
Geary,
that they
Glenn
were
Ross.
good leads or you didn't ever call them back? And
Yeah.
you're right. It's a partnership.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And everybody's got a stake in this.
hmm I want us to take a break, and then I want to come back and I want to talk a little bit more about leads, fixing the problem. Then I want you to tell me, let's talk EOS and how you've seen it make a difference in a firm. I want to hear a story, a success story. If you can get one together for me, Brooke, about how a firm went from here to there. Okay.
All right.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate our podcast and share it with a friend. Every share, every comment, every rating propels us forward. For more content, insights, and updates, visit ericelliott.com. Remember, your journey, your story is what keeps us going forward. Until next time.